nice out. Now, turn you that way a little. Alright, well, I guess I'm going to talk about, I got this info from a guy that knew a guy, so, a friend of mine. I test drove his 1975 Cadillac Eldorado, and it's pretty cool. So, I just want to talk about the history on the Eldorado because it's a really cool classic car. It's probably the best luxury car out there. Well, back then it was. Alright, so there's 12 generations, and so the 9th, nope, that's not it. Okay, so the first generation was only 1 year, and so it was the Eldorado was the top of the line. There's 12 generations, like I said. Generation 1 was only 1 year. It was a convertible, and so the Eldorado, they got the name from a mythical kingdom in South America known for its wealth. You know, Eldorado, yeah, it's a wealthy car. The line was originally introduced in 1953, and making it one of the largest running personal luxury cars in America. Isn't that, it's pretty cool. I mean, that was a lot back then. Like I know. The big 500 cubic inch motor was in a lot of them. I'm not gonna get into too much of like the motors and stuff, but first generation, it was a Cadillac Series 62 Eldorado. It joined the Oldsmobile 98 Fiesta, Buick Roadmaster Skylark as the top of the line limited production specialty convertibles. Those were introduced in 1953 by GM. So the 1953, I'm going to try to put up some pictures if I can figure that out. But the 1953 was pretty cool because they got the bumper bullets in the back. They got those off of a 1951 GM La Sabre show car. So the second gen was 1954 to 1956. It's lost its unique shape metal and sheared its basic body shell with standard Cadillacs. That's basically to lower the cost. I mean, makes sense, you know, to make it more affordable for people that can afford it. So 1955, they gained its own rear end styling with high slanted pointed tail fins. The tail fins were actually really cool. I mean, I find that really unique how they did that, because they don't do that with cars today. You know, they just focused on more of like the design back then. Today's cars are just focused on what can we, you know, what's the most electronic stuff we can put on it, basically. So the 1956, the hardtop version was released, called the Eldorado Seville, at which point the convertible was named the Eldorado Biarritz. Oh, yeah. the 56 had the twin hood ornaments. I thought that was a really cool feature. I like the ornaments on the top. You know, when you turn, it just like follows you around. The third generation was 1957 to 1958. That was restyled and re-engineered for 57 with stylistic updates in 58. So the 1957 to 1958, the Cadillac was, hand built. I think they were all hand built. I mean, I guess if anyone watches this, you can let me know. Let me know, what's your favorite. So Brogham. That was the four-door. That was the only four-door Cadillac that they had. Well, the Eldorado. And they had like the suicide doors. Okay, so it had the all-transistor car radio, which is cool, I guess. And then the self-leveling air suspension that was put in the 57 or 58, and which it had series difficulties, which all air suspensions do. With the air suspension, some owners found it cheaper to have it replaced with conventional coil springs. If you know about suspension systems, obviously that makes sense. I would want a normal conventional coil springs instead of air suspension. That's just something that will break, and those all had some problems with that. Unless you want to spend the money and have that, that's up to you. So 1959, that was the fourth generation. So 1959 to 1960, that had the 345 horsepower, 390 cubic inch, 6.4 engine. Some new designs, power options. Some power options were standard. So, 1960, they reassembled the 1959 Cadillacs, but with lower tail fins and smoother, more restrained styling. 1961, that was the fifth gen, so that was 1961 to 1962. I don't really have much information on that. They just, redesigned it and stuff. Still pretty cool looking car. And then the sixth gen, that was from 1963 to 1964. I think I might just put in the description a little bit about those. I'm gonna see if I can get a little bit more info on those. The seventh gen was 1965 to 1966. Basically, they just redesigned it and stuff. The eighth gen. The eighth gen. I don't know the years. 1966 to 1970. The ninth gen. Now, give me a ninth gen any day. I mean, I think that's my favorite style is the ninth gen, which is from 1971 to 1978, and that's the one that I drove around and stuff, and that was really cool. And then and then they got wider too, in length. And then so the 1973. Here's a cool fact: official pace car in Indianapolis 500. They use those as like race cars. And then it had the 500 cubic inch 8.2 liter V8. It had the hood ornament, and then the highest sales during the 70s, and over 6 of all Cadillac sales for 1973. So that was pretty cool. obviously a lot of people liked the 9th gen. I mean, that, I think out of all of them, they look the coolest, I guess. Actually, the really old, like the first generation, looked pretty cool too. I like that. I like that old style. So the 9th gen, from 1979 to 1985, that was, did I say 9? That was the 10th gen. There was a V8. There's a V8 diesel option, and then there's the V6 option, the 4.1 V6 option, and I think they had another engine option. They started getting smaller in the 10th generation. The 11th generation, same thing. They just redesigned it, and that was from 1986 to 1991. And then the 12th gen, the last gen, 1992 to 2002, and they had the North Star V8s, which had a lot of problems. I guess it depends on how it's taken care of, though. I've heard, but I've just heard that they've had a lot of problems. If you could let me know if you owned a North Star, that see if they had any problems. So 2001, that was the 50th model. The 50th model year. So that's all I got for right now. But yeah, that's just a little bit of the Eldorado history. I didn't see any other videos.